So of course you can write down what you learned and what takeaways were. You also should write down what is not clear and what needs clarification for a better understanding. But this part we're going to go through together just to check it off. I definitely know how to look at truss structures and how to section those off now. That is something I clearly understand. I also know how to apply what's called the rotational equilibrium. And of course, you have done this many times before in this class, the sum of the moments being equal to 0, to find the member forces. And the trick here was clearly to remember that I need to find the common point where 2 forces of the 3 that I identified disappear. We also learned in this section that I can identify the 0 force members and how to distinguish those 2 cases. And I need to, of course, understand that often when I eliminate those 0 force members, my calculation effort becomes much less, or it reduces significantly. And then next, I am also able to calculate those 3 random forces by using the method of sections, which really stands for sum of the forces in X, sum of the forces in Y, and sum of the moments. So I use all those interchangeably. And then last but not least, I of course need to understand if they are in compression or in tension. And I think we covered that in detail. And when in doubt, always start with assuming it to be in tension. And then if you get a positive result, you were correct and it was in tension. If you get a negative result, then you should invert your logic and assume that is a compression member. So that takes us to the homework now. Let's take a quick look. These problems are very similar to the ones you've done before, but notice here that for the very first 3 problems, you are actually forced to use the method of sections, or I don't want to say encouraged, you have to use the method of sections. But for these following problems, you can use any method you want, like either the method of sections or the method of joints, whichever you find more reliable for you to use or you find quicker. And you can do that as you are pleased. However, I would recommend that you use both methods to kind of check your work, and you should do that anyways in practice and preparation for your exam. And then there's some strange looking ones here at the very end. Don't be confused. Some of these structures have a lot of 0 force members, and some of these are very impractical for real world use, but they get the educational point across. And the goal here is really to understand the method of sections and not to have a system you can really use. I mean, don't get me wrong, most structures in this class are really usable, but here this is really for you to comprehend the method of sections and the method of joints. And therefore we build in some tricks that you sometimes may not see in the real world, but it will help you to comprehend how the real world actually works. With that said, good luck in your homework, and I will see you in the next lecture.